Hi, welcome to episode, I think I'm on 14 of Leaving California. I have been talking to agents across the country about what their communities are like and why you might like to live there and making sure to showcase those areas to my clients and my sphere. I want you guys to know that I'm here for you, whether you stay in our lovely community or move out of state. And today we have Holly Brown. And we're going to Maine. We just connected yesterday, and Holly jumped in on the chance because I had a reschedule for today from the agent that I had planned to talk to. And actually, I was looking for an agent in Maine for a client of mine way to Canada. And Holly's like, I don't work way up there, but I'd love to connect. And I was like, hey, I had a cancellation. You want to hop in? And she was like, sure, let's do it. So Holly, tell me a little bit about where you are at and like pronounce the name of your town for me.
So I live in New Gloucester, and I am in technically the Sebago Lakes region. There's a few lakes region here, so I'm near Sebago Lake, which is the big old lake. When you pull up the map of Maine, you'll see it just kind of northwest of Portland. About 40 minutes from Portland, and that's in Maine, like down the road. So, and
Portland, Maine, not Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, Portland, Maine. We go down there for like, my birthday. We go down to the big city, get dressed up. It's a good time. Yeah. Awesome. And yeah, so we talked about Grand Isle, which is about 6 hours north of me, and that's about 3 hours farther than I really like to go to be effective. So I
That's a long drive to show a house. 6 hours, man. That's an overnight trip. I mean, it takes me about 6.5, 7 hours to hit LA, and I'm not driving to LA to show a house. So
yeah, that's a little much. I had to go to about 3 hours north, and just in case anything were to happen, I packed the dog up and some dog food in like a little overnight bag, but like just in case something were to come up.
So tell me about the weather. I mean, I think that's the part that would scare me the most about moving anywhere onto the East Coast up there at all. Yes. Is the weather.
So it's been, I don't know, last year was my first winter and I was told it was mild. Now, I've also lived in Alaska, and this was the first time that I've ever bought snow tires. So that kind of says something. But at the same time, we aren't just all snow. There isn't snow here all the time. It's really a beautiful day out today, a nice like bluebird day, but it is definitely chilly and windy. That's kind of something they don't like to talk about, is how windy it can get here. Everyone really focuses in on that snow and things like that, but no, it's the wind and the cold. And the sunny days are the scary cold days. Those are
I had a client that moved to Alaska. I think she's on her second year now, and she says that the Alaskan cold snow is so dry that it's like easy to drive. It's not a big deal. And I'm just like, I don't know about that, girl.
And what's really funny is that when I lived there, I lived in a very small town, 2 hours south of Anchorage. And from October to May, I just didn't leave town. I just didn't drive because I didn't need to. My town was very small. So I just never really thought about getting snow tires. And then one snowstorm here, I had to drive home, which was about 30 minutes. It's only about 15 miles though. And it took me about an hour and a half. And I got home, and I luckily worked at a car dealership at the time. And I went back to work the next day and was like, y'all need to order me some snow tires.
You're like, I can't do that.
This was fun. I had to drive by a bunch of farms, and they don't like to salt around those farms, and for, kind of obvious reasons. So those parts get really sketchy. And of course, everyone's passing me in their Subarus. I drive a Yaris. It's like, I just look silly. I don't look very smart in the first place. So yeah, that was always fun.
And they're like, bye.
Yeah, they're waving. Like, go home.
Oh God. Okay, so I guess like one thing I like to ask, and that's super fun, is other than the weather, stereotypes. I mean, is the lobster as good as they say? And like, is that really the thing?
It really is the thing. And It's really weird. I actually just saw an article about like 11 best lobster rolls in Maine. It's like you can't have 11 best. Like there's only one. And I actually did like you can't. There's only one best. And I actually had never really liked lobster, just like some childhood trauma, until a couple of years ago when I finally tried it, and now like I just can't get enough. I found a woman in my town, like we call it Gray, New Gloucester, in Gray, and she's this badass lady. She's got this big old boat, and she goes out with her family, and like, and she runs it, and then she has like the big tanks in her garage, and it's like $5 a pound. It's amazing, and like her name's Lindsay Crawford. Really enjoy her. She's beautiful too. It's just the whole aesthetic of it all is really exciting. And the best lobster roll I've ever had is in Castine, and it's like this village store. I don't even know. Like it's hidden in this thing. And of course, during COVID, like it's hard to tell what the inside of a restaurant really looks like anymore because you kind of go in and then you're out. Best lobster roll I've ever had. And I didn't think I would really like it. And it was so good. It was like, I really enjoyed it. But I would say one of our biggest myths, like stereotypes, is that we're out here in the boonies. Even my own mother, I moved here from Massachusetts, and she was hands down convinced I would not have cell phone service at my house and I would not be able to get internet. Like she was like adamant. Like there was no way that I was going to be able to even communicate with her if I moved up here.
Ever.
Ever. And mind you, I'm like 3 hours away from her. It was like as if I was going to Guam. Like I may as well have gone to the Philippines. And so that one is a big one. And it is a little like, with every stereotype and myth, there is some kind of truth to it. There are places in Maine that, yes, you cannot. You can also buy a home in the middle of a town in a city and be off grid if you want to. So it's kind of like a mix of it, but it's really, it's happening. And also our governor just recently passed a bill to get broadband internet to more rural parts of Maine, thanks to COVID, and kids that need to be in school.
And kids that need to be in school, right? Yeah. Like I know that that's a huge, I want to make, I realize that my post on my page isn't public, so we're not able to see the comments, and there's comments, so hold on a second. Let's save it.
Yeah.
Okay. It won't pop me the comments up unless it's public. Okay, I fixed it.
There we go.
Anyway, so school, right? So that's the COVID and school and all that. So even in where I live, it's a huge issue with students being able to get access. And I think that that's really important that somebody's taking control of that, because it's a big deal.
Yeah. And it's nice. And now, in the summer, I did hear a big NPR kind of, article on the radio about moving to Maine and working remotely. And lots of people are coming from Connecticut, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts to get out of the cities, buy a home, have a yard, to be able to go outside. That's like a really amazing thing here. And that was the big issue. People were really concerned about that. And we kind of had to be like, no, it's okay. Like, I promise. And, it may not be the broadband. I don't know any of these terms. I am not a tech gal, but all the like megabits or whatever it is. But it's enough to do what you need to do. Yeah. And, I don't think anyone's making internet. I don't know how that even is, but no one's offering internet services that don't at least let you watch a TV show. I think it's 2000.
Well, I mean, you're streaming now. We're live. We're not cutting out. So it's enough, right? Yeah. And,
I'm actually very public internet right now. I'm in our little public office. So I'm like,
and we get the same kind of thing. So I usually, we get San Francisco, San Jose, and then Oakland, that kind of thing. And they're coming to my area because of the same reasons, right? Their employers are saying full work from home as much as you want, go wherever you want. You never have to come back if you don't want to. And so people are taking that and going where they have more space. They have more options for housing. And, I'm interested to see some of these big metropolitan areas, what that's going to look like in another year or two. I mean, not everybody's leaving and they're super densely populated, so I'm sure they're going to be fine. But it's, a lot of people are taking their families and going somewhere where they can play in the backyard. Yeah. So it's not any different wherever, you're at. And even people that live here, they're going more to the center of the country for the same reasons. They're like, I've got, 1,500 square feet now. I want to buy 2,500 square feet and acreage. I can't do that in California, but I can do that in Tennessee or Ohio or Idaho.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly it. Especially we watched a huge exodus out of Portland, kind of this like late summer, fall. And there's these surrounding towns that, no one really paid attention to, or, they were out there and they were cute. And, but they were affordable, and all of a sudden, and that's like directly west of Portland, and because it's easy to commute. It's only 30 minutes, usually just roads. They're even expanding a lot of the roads, making it simpler. And all of a sudden, those prices have just completely skyrocketed. So I've been watching how the prices go from like the west of Portland, and they move up, and now they're kind of going north of Portland, and people are pushing all the way 40, 50 minutes an hour out just so they can purchase. And afford it. And that's sort of been the bummer. And you had to be pretty on it. I mean, some of the homes that I found for clients, I found before they hit the market through like word of a person that was going to maybe sell this house. And I'm like, cool, I need to get it and see it today. And like, I know you're not listing for a month, but here's our offer. And like,
and we're doing the same thing here, right? Because it's the same. And I think it's a huge inventory problem nationwide. I mean, I was explaining this to somebody else online the other day. It's like everybody thinks that it's this big city push that's causing the prices to go up. No, that's not helping anything. But when the beginning of January and our whole like system for like 4 or 5, 6 counties, there was only 1,200 houses for sale. And there's way more people looking to move than that.
Yeah.
And I think there's something that people forget is that us millennials, you're younger than me, but you're at the younger at millennial end, and they're coming into age that they want to buy a house. Yeah. And it's one of the largest populations of birth ever. And that whole 10-year span is like, okay, now I need to buy, but there's nothing to buy. No. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely wild. I'm so glad. I thank my husband every day for us jumping on our house when we did. We were going to wait another year, and I'm so glad that we didn't. We would not be able to afford our home at all. Like, no way. And it's like wild seeing how much it's like worth now. And it's like, okay, like where would we go? But it's really nice to see. And, and that's really what I hope for all of my clients. I'm primarily working with first-time home buyers, and, I really want that for them, because it's a really nice feeling to all of a sudden move up into this, like, I don't even know, upper echelon of class of landowning people. Like, for some reason that feels like really official, and like I'm a lady now or something. And it's like a big deal. And I think, everyone really deserves the opportunity to do that. And it's really hard to do it now all of a sudden. Yeah. And I think I'm definitely learning a lot jumping into real estate at this time. I'm like set for life on how to do it, because this is like top. And how to be competitive without breaking the bank. I mean, there's other ways to be competitive than just money, because money, it doesn't even matter sometimes how much you throw at them. There's something else. So it's definitely been a little rough, but I hold out hope for my people.
Well, and I think what I tell my first time home buyers too is that look at this as a long game. Your rate is so low. Yeah. Your total cost of monthly payment is so low. Yeah. And in my area, rent, you can't rent for that. No. So take the jump, take your low interest rate, lock in that low payment, and ride the market, whatever that may be. Right. And I think that it's, you're paying for housing anyway. Make sure that your monthly payment is what you can afford. And then the great thing is you don't have a landlord that's going to raise your rent. So you know where you're at until you make a different change. So I think, I think that that's great advice, and it's really important. Let's go look at some properties we have.
These are fun.
So I'm super excited about this because I don't, we have beaches, but this is freaking cool. Like, hold on a second. Like, I'm totally stoked on what you sent me. Like, this is so
Okay.
much fun.
This is
So
so hard. It was really difficult to choose. I probably scrolled through all 3,600 listings that are in Maine of like, what am I going to show to these people? Like, there has to be something amazing. And it was tough. I did it into the wee hours into the night, and then again at like 5:30 this morning.
well, I appreciate your like big
Yeah.
efforts.
Yeah.
So I want to start this one. So this is Deer Isle, Maine.
Yeah.
And why is everything an aisle? Is it an aisle?
I think it's because, and this is so not real, but there's like little strips of land in here you'll see that kind of connect these islands. That is
Oh, okay,
there's
okay,
a
okay.
little aisle here. I actually really love this area. My husband's parents, my mother and
So
father-in-law,
it is kind of an
yeah,
aisle.
it's like a little aisle. And they actually own property up there. They're building their retirement home in a neighboring town. And I just love driving over. There's a bridge here that's just beautiful. And you can actually see it, I think, in one of these photos. And you go really, really high up. And it's like kind of terrifying because you're just out there. And I really love it out there. It's very quintessential, like
Look at this.
rural.
This is like right on the water.
Yes, no, it is. It has water frontage and everything. It's lovely. I like. It's a really cute little house. I've driven past this one like 100 times, and
So this
I
right
enjoy
here, this picture is like what I imagine living on an aisle would be.
it. Yeah, it's definitely a good one. I just thought it was too adorable, and yeah, it was definitely nice. I just like it out there. Oh,
So
okay, Pug Nuts ice cream. I'm seeing that comment. Pug Nuts ice cream is the best ice cream. My mother-in-law, they have to drive 40 minutes to Pug Nuts, and they will go multiple times a day. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Like, because they're building their retirement home, and at like 11 o'clock, they go to Pug Nuts. At 1 o'clock, they go to Pug Nuts. 5 o'clock, they go to Pug Nuts. And at 8 o'clock, they go to Pug Nuts. Like, I love it. That's amazing.
so apparently, and that's really random. Amanda that made that comment, she's my neighbor.
Oh my
So her,
God.
yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
is that technically the aisle right here, or is that something different? Explain this to me.
I have no idea. I mean, I would say yes, like maybe like the water is like the aisle. But there's
Okay.
a couple other ones out there, and I think it maybe describes like either the water that's going through all the islands, or it's the islands just being so sticky. But
That's the bridge.
mhm.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
And like they wanna give us like credit for the Golden Gate. Like, this is cool stuff. Like, come on.
Right.
So this is the interior. Is this typical of what you would probably see as far as style and finishes and that kind of thing out there?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like really, and we're going through this kind of thing right now where all these updates are very cool, neutral colors, but then like the green, which I love. Like I have that green in my house. I think it's amazing. My husband is like a very like white cream kind of guy. Country white is made basically our whole house. And I'm like trying desperately to change it. And I'm not a very good painter, but like I don't even care. And especially like the hardwood flooring and everything like that, like absolutely. And I really loved this one because the outside of the house was really unassuming. But once you go in, like it's bright, it's just beautiful, finished, clean. It really wasn't what I was expecting to see.
Yeah.
Because the outside was just kind of like house,
Yeah.
like, it doesn't really scream like we have granite countertops,
Right.
so I really enjoyed that. And they just kept the outside very simple. And you can tell they just use the space how they use it. They're just people living their lives. Like that's it. They don't
That's
really,
awesome.
no frills.
Yeah, the green is getting popular here too. And we used it navy as well on the bottom cabinets. So I don't know if you've seen that come that way, but instead
No.
of like the bottom cabinets are really bold and then the top cabinets are like a good white. I'll have to show you pictures and maybe you can convince your husband. But
Oh my God.
I really like it because it gives you a little bit of color. And then I really love like when I remodel, I'm totally down for the green. Hopefully it's still in style by the time I get around to it. But like the green glass tile backsplash with the green cabinets, it's
Yes.
my dream.
I love
All right,
it.
so let's get out of Deer Isle.
Mhm.
I want to go back to the map. Oh, There you are.
Okay.
I don't know what happened to my listings. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Too
It won't
funny.
let me go forward. Hold on. Sorry, team. Let me go through and get it back.
It's going way too smoothly. Something had to happen.
Oh,
That's it.
God. It's technology. I never even, like, give it a second thought. Okay. We are back. And so if we go from Grand Isle, and let's kind of go inland and around.
Yeah.
So we'll take a look at Lighthouse Road.
Yeah.
And this is Lighthouse Lane in Rumford. Am I saying that right?
Yep, Rumford. I've driven through here a couple of times, kind of showing homes up there. I've gone on a couple big tours of Maine, and I've always passed through here, and I've seen a couple houses in town, and it's this old like industrial town, and there's a big mill. The Androscoggin comes through there. Androscoggin, sorry, that one's a hard one to say.
What's the Androscoggin?
Androscoggin, and beautiful river. There's like
it's a river. Okay.
Yeah, and but there's lots of like big hills, so you can see Mount Washington from this one in particular. And this one just kind of blew my mind that this is out there because it's a pretty simple town. And I found a couple of like really large, fancy houses out there, and it's just like it just surprises me. So like I had to kind of share this one because it just kind of blew my mind.
Two things I noticed here though is one is they have a pool. Why? I mean, do you get warm enough in the summer for a pool?
We do, especially up there. It gets very hot here. Even in where I live, I think this year we had a couple 95, 100-degree days.
Okay, fair enough.
It gets
fair enough.
Really hot.
And I noticed that they're using like artificial grass, which is probably smart with the snow, right? Because it's probably just gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why not.
Right? I don't either. And again, and I really love this one just because of the views and everything that it does have. Like that is amazing. I would love that.
It wouldn't be a bad place to hang out on a Sunday afternoon. That's for sure.
And so I just really enjoyed it. It has a bunch of like post and beam on the inside. It's just everything about it just completely blew my mind over and over again. Big football fans as well in here.
Big football fans. But I noticed the kitchen, there was like one little kitchen. There we go.
Yeah.
So very updated, very cute. It looked like that first kitchen was probably like a little mini bar area for their football games, which is so much fun.
Yeah. Definitely an awesome, entertaining home. Like
this is the party house. Like see, there's like another little sink hangout area over there.
What I've come to realize is that there really is two kinds of Mainers, really. I mean, there's ones who don't want to see anyone and just want to live their life. And there's party people that want to have everyone over. And especially with all the homes that I've gone to see in the past 8-9 months, it's very obvious who's the party people and who's just out there to do their thing. And these are definitely some party people. And this
looks like maybe a guest house or a second like in-law quarters or something like that, which, for us, I see as I look at that as opportunity for either a tenant or Airbnb or grandma or something like that, which is always, a second stream of income for my clients. And I think that that's always something to look at.
Yes. And I've had a few clients in the past. We've actually had to shift because there just isn't any supply out there of them. But those in-law apartments, a lot of people are trying to kind of move the kids back home, especially from college. And I mean, those prices have just completely skyrocketed. And to see it out there and it's like really pretty nice, that definitely caught my attention because that is a really big moneymaker for people and can really offset that mortgage. So that is a $400,000 house. But, if you can get $1,000 a month out of that other place, that's pretty great. So I definitely like using that.
So Standish. Yeah. Oh, this is cute.
Yeah. So this was kind of a newer home, but it kind of had that colonial feel to it, which is like pretty, all of these homes next door too are really, that's like Maine. And especially a lot of the new construction, which I think this one was built at least in the last 10 years. And so I really liked this one because Standish is close enough to commute to Portland. And it is on the lake. and it is really family and homey, and it's large enough. So a lot of these lake houses, Maine, I don't know what happened here, and I'm gonna just criticize a little bit. They built these lake houses on these beautiful lakes and beautiful pieces of property, but they shoved the houses back into the woods and covered them in trees and made them really, really tiny. And I get it, like you're supposed to be spending your time outside, but I don't know. I can't really get excited about them. So this one actually got me really excited because it's a
You're
really
right here on the water.
it's right there. There's a cool little stairs that goes down, and it's a nice family home as well. So that like there was just a really nice, I don't know, cohesion of the activities there, I suppose you would say.
There's your little cottage stuck in the trees.
Right
Next door.
it's just beyond me. And you can't, and a lot of it too is that you cannot cut down the trees along the shoreline, or there'll be like shore erosion and things like that. But you kind of want to be able to see what you're looking at. So at least this home, it's like a really beautiful home that kind of stands out, and then you have your nice little private lake area down there. So I thought that was kind of cool.
And so activities. So I saw that there was like little like kayaks and stuff. So lots of non-motorized sports in the lake, or are we talking like skiing or anything like that?
So a lot of lakes do. We even have like water ski competitions, which I haven't quite gotten to see the competitions, but I've been seeing like people practicing, and that's really amazing. I've never seen water skiing in real life until this summer. But yeah, and like paddleboarding like blew up this year. You couldn't even buy a paddleboard like with a 9-month back order. It was wild. Everyone wanted to be out there doing something. So definitely, and pontoons.
Paddleboarding is huge here too. Paddleboarding blew up as well. And I think because it's like accessible, right? So you can get an inflatable paddleboard, $400, shove it in your car. You don't have to tow it. You can get out on the water. And I think that it's just like it's an accessible real person thing that you can do to experience whatever nature you have around you. And I'm not mad at it. I can't paddleboard though because I'm not coordinated.
It's pretty fun. I definitely like it. If I can get my hands on one, I absolutely.
Maybe now in the winter. Maybe order yours in the winter ahead of time.
I'm trying. It's like my next like splurge on myself. But yeah, I just really like that one, and the price is really pretty great for what it is. That's a little unheard of ish, and you can actually like have your family live in that home, and it's still a normal house. You're not living in like a weird lake cabin. Then this
is the lake. So if this is the lake, let's see if we can find. Portland is here. So what's that, like an hour maybe to Portland if you happen to work, or is that shorter?
Shorter, probably about 40 minutes or so, maybe 35, depending on how quick you want to go. But yeah, that's a really pretty easy commute. That's one of those towns that a lot of people moved out to because it is such an easy commute. And a lot of people, like Portland is huge. Like the city of Portland is massive. But then you have Scarborough, Westbrook, and a lot of the big corporations and headquarters are actually in Scarborough and Westbrook's, like Nortrax, kind of those big like heavy equipment places are out there. And so there's lots of jobs there. So you don't actually have to go all the way to Portland. We kind of just call it Portland because everyone knows where that is. No one knows where Westbrook is, Yeah. So it's really easy to get to places like that.
And is that because we'll get to Nicole's question in a second because she missed our beginning conversation. But is that because of like shipping and like commerce from overseas and being able to like get the equipment? Is that reason why that industry is there probably?
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely Portland has that big waterfront port, and they do call it Port City. So I don't know how like huge that is now, and that's really, maybe I should really look into that a little more. But yeah, that is definitely a big shipping port there. So there's definitely quite a bit of like like in Portland, a lot of that waterfront is industrial, not like a nice place to hang out. There's a couple restaurants down there and things, but like, I've kind of tried to walk around down on it, and it's not quite, there's a couple walks like in Casco Bay and things like that, but it's just not quite a comfy place to be.
But that's where like you said, that's where the industry is. So you would be commuting to work and that kind of thing. We've got we've got, like I said, Bay Area stuff that,
Mhm.
yeah, you can go to San Francisco and look at the pier and all that stuff, but then there are sections that is strictly industrial. It's not fun. It's not like, the vacation spot.
No.
So Nicole missed our
Yes.
weather conversation at the beginning because I started our live a little bit before 9:30. So give her the snow down lowdown.
Yeah. Yeah, snow down, low down. Yeah, so we do get quite a bit of snow, but it doesn't, I don't know, it's not as wild as everyone thinks. At least where I'm at as well. And I have it's kind of weird. Where I live, I'm about 500 feet above sea level, but once you get down into town, that's only at about 300 feet. So like if it's raining in town, sometimes it's snowing at my house. But it really just depends on where you are. And sometimes the coast gets more than me. It's just totally up in the air. But I was telling her today it's a beautiful bluebird day. It's cold, and windy. So that was one of the big things that I had mentioned. When it's sunny like this, you think it's going to be like a beautiful day and you feel guilty being inside. And then you go outside and you're like blasted with Arctic air. That's not really fun. But the snow comes and, I think the week before Christmas, I think kind of overnight, I think at my house, we got about a foot down near Portland. They actually got like 18 inches. But then it just kind of went away. Like we had a huge rainstorm on Christmas Day. We had like 3 inches of rainfall and it was all gone.
So you're not buried in snow 24/7.
No. Once you go up north, yes. I mean, it changes within just a couple of hours north of where I live. And that's about 3 or 4 hours north of Portland. Yeah. I mean, they have snow all the time. But let's be honest, it's basically Canada. So that's like pretty easy to assume. But down in kind of like our metropolitan area, it's not that bad.
So and I think that's the thing that I talk about with a lot of people when I talk about when I go do these lives is like, I think that the midst of Maine that's covered in snow is Canada.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with California, right? Everyone's like, oh, you must be really close to the beach. It takes me 2 hours to get to the beach. And it's not even the beach that you think it is. It's a rocky beach that's the Bay Area that's not, Southern California. It's different. So I think people don't realize how far really things are. Like we talked about at the beginning, and the client that I was looking for help yesterday, she was looking all the way up by Canada, and that's 6 hours from you. And that's my trip to LA. So it's a lot bigger of a space and footprint than people really give it credit for.
Yeah.
I think they see Texas and California and then Maine way up here on a map, and it's a bigger mass of land than what it's perceived to be.
And kind of the big thing too is there's really only two like highway interstates. It's 95 and 295. So anywhere you have to go, like you're just on a road. Like you're not on a highway going 70. You're going 35 on a road. So like it just takes forever. I mean, from my house to go anywhere is 20 minutes. That's like it doesn't matter where I'm going. It's 20 minutes to get anywhere. Grocery store, everything. So that's kind of a big thing to keep in mind in Maine is that there's no easy way to get anywhere. It's like,
and I think slowing down. I mean, the stereotype here is true. Like we're busy, we're fast paced, and we go anywhere else that's slower, and we're like, make it stop. Like we need to get there now. And I think mentally slowing down and just taking your time is definitely not in Californians' DNA. Like that's a big deal. Right. Like we just want to hurry up and get there, get me there the fastest possible. I don't want to look at the scenery. I just want to end up where I'm going. Yeah. And we purposefully go on back roads to slow down. Yeah. Which is funny to me. But okay, so the last one, we're going back on the southern coast, and this is like closer to Portland. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at Orchard Beach. This is so cute.
I just really love this one. It is so New England beach house. Like just put as much as you possibly can in any space that you can get along the ocean. That's like all they want to do. And I did notice like in the description of this one, the second story was an addition and the roof terrace up there was an addition. And I just think that's lovely and amazing and in a great use of space. I really hate when I've always wanted a beach house maybe someday. And to not have like a rooftop deck like this, I think is just incredibly irresponsible. Like if you own it, like you should be able to do it. And so this one, I just really enjoyed it. And it reminded me so much of all of the coast of New England. I'm from Massachusetts. When you go to like the South Shore of Boston, that's what every house looks like, just about. It's just cramped and straight up or something weird.
Just to get that view though, like you have to.
Yeah. And I really loved it. It just totally, yeah, it got me.
I'm with you. If I didn't have a deck to sit up there and look at the ocean in, I'm not doing it.
And the funniest thing I think about this whole is that is technically a condo, but it's like a standalone condo. So somehow these people skirted some very probably serious condo association rules to build a second floor and get a rooftop. I mean, that's like, I don't know, New England ingenuity to me. That's like, they did it. Loopholes. I'm
wondering, they were showing like looked like a hotel, like a block of hotels, but I'm wondering if that's like the condos.
I think so. That's what I was kind of thinking, is that there must be actually all of those condos, and this somehow is a part of it. I mean, I just don't even know. It's great.
This is like maybe the condos. That's why they keep showing it.
But you know, that kind of looks like, I'm trying to think, I can't think of the name, but there's a whole bunch of hotels. Yeah, I think that's a big hotel. A lot along here is either hotels or these kind of like high-rise condos, which is just weird. This is like, I went down here in the summer with my husband. We have a friend that worked in a restaurant. We're like, well, let's just go down there and see what's going on, because we've never been. And it was such like a confluence of people from all over New England. I mean, you can tell who's from Connecticut, who's from New York, who's from New Hampshire, who's from Mass, and they're all coming right there. Because I mean, that beach is absolutely beautiful, and that really is like the only stretch of beach in Maine that's really like that. And that goes all the way into Scarborough. And it's beautiful there. And so there's like this really wonderful, like sandy beach, but anywhere else in Maine, it's rocks, it's sludge. It's not that nice. So like
this right here looks like Santa Cruz. I mean, this reminds me of what Santa Cruz looks like. The houses and everything. The houses in Santa Cruz are a little, they're not as tall, but definitely the beach house look all the way in Santa Cruz all of the time. Yeah. And there's not as many right on the water. Like a lot of our stuff, if you're on the water, there's restaurants on the water and you're behind them. Yeah. Unless you're paying a lot of money to be right on the beach, there's very few like actual on the beach. You can just walk out your door to sand.
Right.
Yeah. Around here.
So I'm reading Lynn's comment here. And yes, it is true. A lot of our utilities are not underground, but that is changing because CMP is sick of coming out and fixing everything all the time. So a lot of our newer developments that are going in, especially around Portland, everything's underground. And I've even noticed some developments kind of up along the coast north of me, about 3 hours or so north of Portland. A lot of those newer builds, they're putting their utilities underground because if you're already digging to build the home, it's way better. So it's changing. It would
be. Katie wants to know if the ocean's cold.
It's chilly. So I'm from Massachusetts. I'm from Martha's Vineyard. The water there is pretty warm. Usually by July, August, especially just underneath the Cape. Once you get above the Cape, I don't know what it is about the arm of Cape Cod, but it like completely blocks any of the warm water that's coming up that like Gulf Stream. And it's cold. It is like, it's chilly. I actually have not jumped in the ocean here, which is kind of insane. It bothers me that I haven't done it. I just don't live that close to the beach anymore and like I used to. But it's cold, but it's not bad. I mean, you go to the beach and everyone's in the water, you get used to it.
I mean, Northern California oceans are cold. Like it's not even in the summer. I mean, in the summer, it's the actual temperatures in the beach towns in Northern California are in the 60s, 70s, maybe the 80s because of just the way that the air moves, and
Yeah.
it's not hot. So
Mhm.
it's like you have to go south to get hot beach with warm water.
Yeah.
And there's some days, right? And my kids will still swim in the ocean here, but I won't. It's cold.
Well, I mean, and I've also, when I lived in Alaska, I jumped in the water there a lot. And this isn't as cold as that for sure. And I remember when I lived in Washington when I was a kid, we used to go out to the coast, and that water is cold. Like, that is cold, like scary water. This is fine. It's just the beach. It's like,
Oh, apparently we're twins. We're cousins, according to Angela. So it works for me. It
right?
works for me. We do. We could be related, I guess. Look,
We could.
so cute. But yeah, so I was telling you, like, people here are loving, like she said, like loving this because they're really getting to know places that maybe they didn't get an opportunity to see, and that normally they're just looking online and looking at these photos and don't really know like what's what. And so I love that this has become such a fun thing for California. So let's talk a little bit about, let's see, go through these pictures. I don't know what, this is ridiculous. Come on, what's this picture? This is your view from your window at your sliver of ocean.
There is some weird, I don't know what it is, but sometimes the higher you go in price point here in Maine, sometimes the worse the picture quality. And I don't always, I mean, like, I have looked, I'm helping someone look for a vacation home between like $500 and $1 million. And the photos are taken with like an Android, like, I don't even know. And I'm like, honey, like, you're trying to sell like $1 million home. Let's hire a $150 photographer, like it's.
Well, and that's the thing. And maybe like, as your value proposition to your community, it's like, you got to realize how many people are they're not from there. Your first impression of the property is going to be online,
right.
And give them something to look at, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we had a couple drone shots in this, but nothing,
Right. And don't overdo it. I mean, I finally got the eye for when pictures are way overdone because, it takes a long time to get somewhere and I need to know if this is really worth going to see. So I've really studied a lot of photos and I've figured out when they're really, really, trying hard. And I'm like, no, this isn't going to be what it looks like. And so I had a listing here in Gray and I told the photographer, I was like, do not make this look like it isn't. I was like, I want it to look exactly the way that it is. Like, don't do anything to the photos. Just take a nice picture and it is what it is. Because there's nothing worse than going into a home and with these really high expectations and your first impression is a drop in emotion. You want to go, oh wow, not like, this doesn't look like the photos. Like the first thought, then you're done. You're out. You don't have a chance with that person. So
well, and then it's the same thing, like maybe just like millennial thoughts, right? But online dating, like it's this, it's like you're online dating these houses and you don't want to like show up to the first date and feel like you got duped.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I like my photos really clean, bright light, and crisp, but I don't need it altered or whatever. I like wide angles because I want to see the whole room and perspectives of different areas. But my favorite stuff, because I work in the foothills a lot, and so I get a lot of rural property, a lot of pretty trees, things like that. I love good drone footage.
Yeah. And there's a couple really great companies here. Definitely whenever I get a listing that I really need to showcase what's around it and how beautiful maybe that like area is, that's something I will absolutely invest in. Just to be able to see that is amazing. And so that being said, I utilize Google Satellite, like Google Earth, a lot. Especially with my clients when they aren't really sure what's around or how close the neighbor is or something like that. That's like my first go-to. I'm like, well, look at the satellite image and see what it looks like.
Yeah, because Google's not trying to sell anything. So let's look and see what they got going on. Yeah. So Nicole's like, that's the worst feeling when you show up to a house and it sucks. And I
Yeah,
think,
it makes you
I mean, part of our job is to sell it and to get people in the door, but you also want to represent the property in a way that actually makes sense. And, sometimes overdoing the photos is going to make you like maybe lose some buyers that could have been interested
yeah,
if they didn't think it was so perfect or whatever the case
yeah.
may be. So I'm going to close out of there.
Mhm.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for showing us around. If you have any tips, like last minute tips for Californians who maybe want to look at Maine as like their new home state.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It is so wonderful here. I was telling Erica that when we decided to move to Maine, actually, the fourth time I'd ever been into Maine was when I was signing for my home. I came here on Memorial Day weekend and I fell in love. We went out to a state park out on the coast and I was like, this is beautiful. I could see the people walking around and they were just like loving it and just living their life and not concerned with everything else. And I was coming from Martha's Vineyard and everything was just so packed. And I grew up there, I was over it. And we just wanted a place where we could live. And so my like advice is, if you're ready to kind of find your thing, like with like I think there's someone that runs a show. It's like find your main thing. And it really is it. And I'm still searching for what mine is. My husband is totally in his element. He like ice fishes, he's having a great time. I'm still trying to exactly figure out what mine is. But I have a big dog. I love hiking. I like walking in the woods. So not like and so it's a really amazing chance to come out and find what you love. And you don't have to spend forever trying to find it because everything's pretty close. So you can go to the beach, you can go to the lakes, you can go to the mountains, you can go skiing, you can go up north and snow machine if that's something that you like to do. There's just so much. And I just totally suggest it. And if you aren't totally ready to make a move for forever, we have a lot of really amazing vacation properties out here. And a lot of really great companies that'll take care of them for you all the time. and you can make a little money off of it too. Everyone likes to come to Maine. And it's just such a beautiful place. I definitely suggest it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so, so much for your time. This is my longest one so far. We're almost at 50 minutes because it's been so much fun. I know. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Holly. And keep me in the loop. If I come across anybody who was interested in our conversation, I'll make sure to send them your way. And have a good rest of your Tuesday.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Yeah.